the Amstel Gold Race. Today, live on Eurosport.
Yokohama, your tire.
The FIA WTCC is delivered by DHL.
Where performance matters, you'll find Total Quartz.
Hello and welcome. Happy Easter from the south of France. It's the second race weekend of the 2014 FIA World Touring Car Championship. We're at the Circuit Paul Ricard, just outside the tiny hamlet of Le Castellet, some 40 or 45 kilometers from Marseille. We're in the deep south of Provence, and as you can see, it is not a belle pack, even it is a joyeux pack for the locals. It's cold, grey and miserable. Yesterday was cold, windy, but very sunny. However, today we woke up to a steady drizzle, which has come and gone, but at least has been ever present. Well, it is, of course, the home race for our newcomers to the champions, Citroën. They race here at Paul Ricard, with the World Touring Car Championship making its first appearance here as well. It's a test track that is well known to Citroën, and a racetrack that their star driver Sébastien Loeb knows very well. Last man, incidentally, to win a World Touring Car race in France on the streets of Pau was Alain Menu in the factory Chevrolet. Teammate Rob Hufford won the first of the weekend. And Andy Priaulx, Augusto Farfus, Jörg and Dirk Müller have also won World Touring Car races in France. Perversely though, Yvan Müller has never had that opportunity. Will he get to do so here at Le Castellet? Well, first he'll have to master this 3.8 kilometre version of the circuit, the full Grand Prix circuit. We leave at turn 1. Pignette, which is one of the possible overtaking opportunities here at the end of the pit straight. It's a tight and twisty section all the way through to the exit of the chicane, through the trademark senior corner at the end of the Mistral straight, and into Beausset, named after another of the local villages. Long, never-ending right-hander, which is going to be deadly on tyres in the heat, but also very difficult to manage grip in the wet. But you have to get that right, because again, the tight technical section at the end of the lap leads to the final corner. A slight overtaking opportunity, but much more importantly, it sets you up for the front straight. So two relatively short straights here. We're only using about half of the Mistral and half of the run down to the far end of the Grand Prix circuit, as was this. Like every other venue the World Touring Car Championship has visited, a former home of the French Grand Prix. We all have also raced at Pau, which held many French Grand Prix in the early years of the sport, and of course to Manicourt, which took over from the Circuit Paul Ricard as the home of the French Grand Prix. And there is now, of course, no home of the French Grand Prix. In the hotel bedroom that I have a picture of the start of the 1983 French Grand Prix with a host of French drivers and French manufacturers, and maybe that's the reason. Well, after qualifying yesterday, this was not how the grid looked, but starting on pole position today will be Yvan Müller, the only one of 3 Citroën drivers whose cars passed post-qualifying scrutineering. His 2 teammates were thrown to the back of the grid, and that's going to give him a golden opportunity to make up for the points lost after he got caught up in Mehdi Benani and Tom Coronel's accident in race 2 in Marrakesh. He came here with a handful of points compared to his teammates. He's over 30 points behind them, and Müller must capitalise. The problem for him is, although Sébastien Loeb and Jose Maria Lopez start on the back row of the grid, along with Mehdi Benani, who's been dropped 3 spots for a penalty close to them, it's expected that their Citroën C-Élysées will be able to put to good use their extensive wet weather testing. Nobody else has extensive wet weather testing on the new tyre with the new cars, and very much expect Lopez and Loeb to be working their way quickly through towards the front of the field. So Muller must capitalise on this golden opportunity. Well, Pechito, Jose Maria Lopez, very upbeat yesterday in qualifying. Despite the fact that he is now on the tail of the grid, he is ready to rock. And I believe that Alex is down with Citroën team boss Yves Maton. So we'll try and get a thought from him on the fallout after qualifying with 2/3 of his team demoted to the back of the grid.
So both Sebastian Loeb and Jose Maria Lopez have both lost their starting positions, pole and second on the grid through no fault of their own. Let's go and have a chat to Yves Maton and find out exactly what it was that happened. Yves, thank you for speaking to us. Tell me, what happened then with the fuel cut-off?
Yesterday after the qualifying, when we go to the scrutineering, the fuel cutoff was not working on 2 of the 3 cars. Difficult to know what's happened. For sure we change all. The parts are not very old, but okay, now it's working, and we will see next week what to do for the next events. It's a little bit difficult because it's a security part, bringing nothing on the performance, but okay, it's like that.
Then why is the problem only with Sebastian and Pechito's cars? Why not Van's?
We don't know. We changed maybe because Ivan's car was not doing race 2 in Marrakesh, but really for the moment we don't know. We only put some new parts, and it's all we know for the moment. And
you hope that this is a good opportunity for Muller to gain back his points?
Yes, for sure. He's in pole position. Now weather conditions will be difficult, but I hope he can keep this position till the end of the race 1.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yves Maton. Thanks, Alex. And Sebastian Loeb and Jose Maria Lopez at the back of the grid will clearly have their work cut out for them to carve through the field in what is likely to be a decent amount of spray in the opening laps. However, if anyone has, they have the machinery and the knowledge to be able to do so. Sebastian Loeb at the track at which he is most comfortable in the World Touring Car Championship calendar, so he's got to use that to his advantage as well. Second in the championship, of course, last year, and the only Royal Motorsport car on the grid, because his teammate for the season, Tom Coronel, is sat alongside me in the Eurosport commentary booth because his car not able to race. We're going to have a word with Tom in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the new aerodynamic rules. So the new aerodynamic rules partly come in because we've got more power in the car and much wider wheelbase. And so the aerodynamic rules have been freed up. Now, in comparison to last year's Honda Civic, the drag has gone right up. Drag at around 190 kilos this year generated by the car, 130 kilos last year, so that's an increase of nearly 50% in terms of drag. Watch the airflow through the wheels. Wheels are specially designed to cool the brakes, to draw air in and then to expel it once it's been heated. With the new front-end treatment, especially the new splitter there that's allowed to extend 100 centimetres past the 100 millimetres past the front bumper, front downforce has really gone up from 70 kilos to 180 kilos. The rear wing really didn't do an awful lot for you last year. This year it'll produce around 55 kilos of downforce, and the key to the balance is going to be balancing the big downforce on the front with what you can get out of the rear. Well, Tom Coronel sitting alongside me. It's a miserable morning, Tom, not just because you're sitting in a commentary booth and not on the grid, but it's also wet, it's been drizzling, and the circuit is not dried up at all today. So this is going to be a first race on these new wet weather tyres.
Yeah, it's not only the drizzling, but also it's very cold outside. We noticed already all week in the evening you really needed a jacket. You can also see that the crowd is wearing jackets. But at least there's a lot of crowd. I mean, what Sebastian Loeb did in our championship gave a big impulse. We can see that already for sure. But with a big stone in my stomach, I'm sitting here next to you because, yeah, I was just talking to the drivers. But when I was walking around, I thought, It's weird, very weird.
Yeah, premature retirement, but you will be back hopefully for the race in Hungary. There's Andrea Adamo, the man who designed the Castrol Honda Civic, and second on the grid for Gabriele Tarquini, again with Sebastian Loeb, the pole man, and Jose Maria Lopez, who was second on pace in qualifying, being sent to the back of the grid because their automatic fuel cut-off safety systems in the car weren't working. Then that has promoted Gabriele Tarquini and Ivan Muller to front row starts, and the long-time friends, former teammates and current rivals will be trying their level best to make sure that they don't have any dramas going into the first corner. For Muller, only 22 points so far in the championship, over 30 behind his teammates. This is an absolute must-win race if he is to really contend this year's title.
The FIA WTCC is delivered by DHL.
Green flag here at the circuit Paul Ricard in Le Castellet, and no movement from Ivan Muller, the pole man. Just see it on the time. Look at the time, 1:15 local time, but look at the temperature, 11 degrees. Tom Coronel, a taller, wider wet weather tyre is going to be even harder to keep rear tyre temperature in, and now that's going to be a factor for all these front-wheel drive cars, that no wet running experience is going to mean they've got a problem.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the people who drove here and tested here in the wet, that was the Citroën and Thiago Monteiro and Gabriele Tarquini. For the rest, it's for everybody new, this rain tire. They never drove in the wet, so for sure they don't know anything about how to make the setup. They don't know anything what will happen during 4 or 5 laps, what will be the wear. So there are some question marks for the drivers, but you know, they are professionals. I just asked Gabriele, what do you think? He said, well, it's different than at our test. I said, well, what do you mean different? Wet is wet. He said, no, it feels more slippery. And I had expected the opposite. So this was interesting.
All right, let's have a listen to Rob Huff on the warm-up lap.
Off the back straight, trying to get as much heat as possible into the tyres and of course the brakes. Moving the rear end of the car around these front-wheel drive cars seems to be very difficult to create any temperature in the rear. You know, it's the first time we've driven these cars in the wet, and first time I've ever been at this track in the wet, along with many other drivers. So trying to discover the dry line, the wet line, where the grip is, where it isn't, what corner each gear is going to be in. This is all stuff that we simply have no idea about. Very slippery there, you can hear the wheel spin. Like I say, I think a little bit worried about the rear tyres, trying to work them as hard as possible. Make sure the window wipers work. It's always something worth checking before you go around. So this could be quite interesting. Let's see how we get on.
Thank you, Rob, and Tom, exactly as you were saying, worrying about the temperatures in the tyres, in the brakes, and things you never think about in a road car, like making sure the wipers work, just in case we get a really heavy deluge of rain. So, tensions raised. We are almost ready to race here in Le Castellet. Cars on the grid for round 3 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Green flag waves at the back. The grid is complete. Ivan Muller on pole from Gabriele Tarquini. Wet weather track. Everybody on wet tyres as they must be. And away they go. There is no chance now to mix your tyres. Dreadful start for Ivan Muller. He's been passed by 2 Hondas, and he'll have a Chevrolet in either door mirror as he comes down. He blocks the path of Djokovic, but it is Tarquini and Michelic who are first and second, and behind, let's look for the other Citroens. They're in amongst the Ladas. Tom, that was a horrible getaway for Muller. He really needed to be in front if he could. Great start from Rob Huff, though. He's up to about 6th.
Yeah, it didn't look really really great, but you saw he had a lot of wheel spin, and after it seemed like he nearly stalled the car. The same he had already at the green flag lap. He had already some difficulties. Although you can see he knows where the grip is, because he's really closing the gap very fast to Michelis. He is one of those French drivers, of course, who has driven here many times, so he knows exactly where the grip will be. But don't underestimate Gabriele Tarquini. Very clever, a lot of experience, so at least we will see some overtaking.
Ivan on the inside of Beausset. Now, is the grip around the long way on the outside where Michelis is hoping it is? It seems so. Tight line, always difficult to pull off in the wet weather conditions because there's a little less grip, and the more you steer, as you'll know from your own road car, the harder it is to get the tyres to grip. So, as you say, Tarquini is going to try and clear off, leave Michelis to hold up Muller. Fourth is the bright yellow highlights of Hugo Valence. Rob Huff in fifth place. Borkovic in sixth ahead of Morbidelli and Montero. Lopez and Loeb already 11th and 12th. So Sebastian Loeb's letting Jose Maria Lopez open the doors. And Michelis has the line. Again, in the wet weather, Michelis can only hold his line and hope that Ivan Muller doesn't know something that he doesn't. But off the final corner, Muller's gone by on traction off the corner alone. Yeah, the traction of the Citroën is very strong. We saw that already in Marrakesh when I was driving behind the Citroëns in the free practices and the qualifying. I was very surprised how much grip these guys have. Sebastian Loeb and Lopez. Oh! Yep, Loeb inside Lopez as they come through in 7th and 8th. Lopez loses 2 or 3 spots by just drifting out a little wide. Yeah, and also Sebastian Loeb, he had a small touch in the first corner with the cone who's there on the inside. Yep. Well, we'll wait and see. Oh, Gianni Morbidelli. Rear moving. Yeah. Very difficult to get heat in these rear tires. Looks like the tyre temperature is going away from Morbidelli already. Long time since he's raced a front-wheel drive touring car. He's been racing in the All-Stars Championship. Big, powerful touring cars, so this is going to be a little bit difficult for him. Sebastian Loeb right behind him, and Loeb is coming through the field like we expected him to do. You know, he's attacking like a real hunter at every corner, and Lopez on the inside of Montero. Again, Citroen's experience and their testing mileage is paying off. He's got the traction to put in the move. Yeah, and a really great start of Rob Huff. Yeah, that typical person where you can expect these kind of situations to be really strong. Big slide from Loeb, and Lopez gets a touch. Loeb there inside Morbidelli, hangs on to it, as you expect from a rally driver. Lopez and Montero touching again, and Lopez stays in 8th place. The good thing is that you saw as well as Gabriele as Lopez touching, but both had no difficulties with the cars, because we still don't know anything of the strength of these chassis. Well, we know that the Citroens have spent a day at a test track at least just driving into each other to make sure they are strong enough to resist racing contact, as Ivan Muller takes the lead from Gabriele Tarquini. Well, that took 2 laps for him to get back in front. Loeb is already in 6th, Lopez in 7th. They came from 17th and 18th on the grid, don't forget. Well, it would have been a little more difficult, perhaps, for them to have moved up quite so fast in Marrakesh, where there's less overtaking room, less room for mistakes. Rob Huff all over Hugo Valence for 4th place. Now, 2 of the larders, Tom, failed in qualifying yesterday. Suspension failure for James Thompson and Mikhail Kovslovsky, and they weren't entirely sure what had gone wrong and whether they'd be able to race. They are both on the grid, but Huffy really making the most of his good start. He's getting very aggressive. Looks inside Valence, wants to shut the door using Valence to Sebastian Loeb. Citroen behind the larder, looking for the inside line. Yeah, but the problem is when 2 people are fighting, leave them alone, because otherwise there will be some difficulty. This is difficult for a driver. If I'm the person in Loeb at the moment, just let them go. And at the moment, you see a little distance, and Rob Huff is starting to concentrate on Loeb, which, to be honest, is useless, because Loeb will overtake him very easily. Well, you don't want to give it up and lose too much ground. If he comes by you on a straight, at least it doesn't slow you down. If he holds you up in a corner, then Valence, it might take you the rest of the race to get close to him. And Huffy wants to be at the front end of this field, and given a golden opportunity like the start he had, he's determined to try and cling on. Muller leads now by 1.7 from Tarquini. That's how much his advantage is in this lap. There's James Thompson's girlfriend and the rest of the Lada team watching this battle. Lada holding off Loeb, but not for long. Look how much later on the brakes the Frenchman went, and he just goes right by Rob Huff. You see, he's got traffic ability, hasn't he? Loeb found the gap between Huff and Valente without hitting either of them.
It was a really nice move. He just braked a little bit more late than Rob Huff, and he overtook him on the outside. But these things are only possible when the grip is there as well, and you see how easy he overtakes.
Sebastian Loeb with the grey nose on the number 9 Citroën, battling with Hugo Valente. How quick is the Chevrolet in a straight line? Valente comes back inside Senior. Loeb on the outside will have the grip, and Huff drives around the Frenchman, trying to take the place, and he does. So it's Muller and Tarquini. Michelet still third in the Zengo Honda. Fourth is Loeb now. Fifth is Huff still, but he's now got Loeb in front and Valente behind, which is the reverse of the last lap. And Lopez in the third of the Citroën C-Élysées is now up behind the Dayglow yellow and white car of Hugo Valente. And Tom, I'm really sorry that you're sitting here watching a Chevrolet doing so well when your Chevrolet should be out there, but next time in Hungary you'll be right in the battle. But
at least my car's been fixed now at RML, so I know it will be in one piece. It looked worse than we had expected. But if I see these type of battles, you know, when you're driving yourself, you don't see what's going on the outside. And here, at least, you know, you see, this person is here faster, this person is a little bit stronger there, and you can also see how they play the game. To me, it seems like Citroën is unbelievable strong. I'm surprised how fast they overtake all the others.
Well, the last few seasons, we've seen that the Chevy Cruze in any corner could turn tighter and still maintain traction than any of its rivals. And now we're looking at exactly the same thing here with the Citroëns. They'll turn inside you, and instead of washing out wide or wheel spinning, they've got the traction. And so now, you know, the guys at RML are really in the very early stages with the Chevrolet Cruze. They are going to try and bring the battle to Citroën. And, you know, with one of those in your garage and those guys behind you, you know what they've done in the last 5 years in the championship. You've got to be hoping that they can produce the goods as the season goes on.
Well, this is the only chance you have. At least you see how much you're too slow and where they are stronger, so you also can see which points you have to concentrate on. But as I see Lopez and Loeb touching the curbs, even in the wet, while I see all the other chassis really like Bambi on ice, sliding from left to right, rear, front, it doesn't even matter. And how easy they can take the inside line. Whew, there's a lot of work to do.
Yes, there is. And they're, you know, a full year of development ahead, aren't they? Rob Huff in 5th place, still holding off Jose Maria Lopez. This is not what Citroën want, to be held up by Lada. You know, it's one thing to be held up maybe by a direct market rival like Honda, but they don't want to be behind the Ladas. But you've got to say, whatever it is that Huff has done to his car this morning, it's really working well for him. I mean, where was Huff on the grid? He was 10th, which means he was 13th in qualifying. He didn't make Q2, and here he is battling for 5th. So race pace and qualifying pace don't seem to be that different for Lada, and that's what's been the case over the last few years. Sebastian Loeb going through for 3rd place now on Norbert Michelet. Still 10 laps to go. We could still get a Citroën 1, 2, 3.
What an easy overtaking at the exit of the first corner. It's all in the traction. The Citroëns somehow have a lot more traction, so the acceleration out of the corner, they're a lot stronger than the other ones at the moment.
And again, coming up the Mistral straight, Loeb in front of Michelet, and behind the red Lada of Rob Huff. Wipers on, now that he's found that they work. And Jose Maria Lopez right behind him. Lopez still stalking. Clearly Huff has got temperature in the tyres, and he's got some grip. And the other thing we've always known about the Lada is that their engines built by Orica in Manicourt, nothing giving away in a straight line. They've always been quick in a straight line. It's just been getting the chassis to work. And, you know, engine power is only part of the story in a racing car.
It's, yeah, because the Lada is a little bit smaller than all the other cars, so that's why it's also really fast and straight. I had the same problem last year when I was fighting with Thompson a few races. The Lada is fast on the straight, but just corner-wise it has some difficulties.
A few more spots of rain on the camera lens. It is still drizzling. Not many umbrellas up in the grandstands, but like British racing fans at this time of the year, the French are a hardy bunch.
Not easy for Lopez to overtake Rob Huff. At the moment he's already 2 laps on his tail. There's no gap.
Well, the fastest laps, Ivan Muller 1:44.4, Tarquini 1:45.1, Loeb 1:44.3, Huff 1:45.5. So they are going a second a lap quicker, but it's getting by that's difficult. And Lopez on the outside, and Huff's going, you can stay there all day, son, because that's the outside line. You've got to go a long way round to get round me. And Huff defending now. You see how much Hugo Valente has closed in, but Lopez, exactly as Loeb did, straight up the inside in the chicane. And again, he's got the traction. Huff using the road on the outside. Full throttle onto the Mistral.
To me it seems like
wow,
like a quite easy overtaking. The radius of Lopez is just a lot better.
Yeah.
As you see now, he's just dancing a little bit, but he's a lot faster. So probably he will easily now fish to Michelin's.
Tarquini still in second place. Sebastian Loeb 4.6 seconds behind him. Loeb the fastest man on track at the moment, but swapping times with him is Muller, our race leader.
At the moment, Sebastian Loeb is about 8/10 faster than Gabriele Tarquini. Well, Gabriele is also 4.5 seconds in front, so it will take him 5-6 laps to be in that battle.
So we've got 9 to go after this. And Rob Huff and Hugo Valente, it looks as though that battle would continue all the way through. Now behind them, Gianni Morbidelli is in 8th, Thiago Montero 9th in the Castrol Honda. Tom Chilton in the all-black Royal Motorsport Chevrolet is in 10th place ahead of James Thompson and René Munich. And Munich sort of slipped backwards after the start and has got stuck behind Tomo's Lada. And there is 4th, 5th and 6th rather, and 7th place Valente with the Dayglow yellow stripes. A long way ahead of Gianni Morbidelli and Thiago Montero, who cannot get by ex-Grand Prix driver Morbidelli. See them in the background. Montero's Castrol Honda is stuck behind the Chevrolet, and I think one of the things we maybe took away from Marrakesh was that behind the Citroens, the other 3 manufacturers looked quite equal, and they do again here. The red Lada of Rob Huff just creeping slowly away from Hugo Valente in his Dayglow and white Chevrolet. Ivan Muller, after winning championships with Seat and with Chevrolet in the World Touring Car Championship, now with a chance to close the gap a little on his teammates in the Citroen lineup. Gabriele Tarquini in 2nd place, and as you said, Tom Coronel not lapping as quickly as any of the Citroens, but that opening couple of laps when he got away from them is still, that gap is still there. But look, he comes onto the straight, and every time he looks in the mirror, Sebastian Loeb will be a closer.
Yeah, Sebastian Loeb just was about 1 second faster, so it will take him 3 laps, and he's in the battle for second. Same with Lopez. At the moment is also a lot faster than Michelin's, about 1.5 seconds. So I suppose even in this lap he will already try to overtake him. So maybe a little bit boring. 1, 2, 3 Chevy is my prediction, or Chevy Citroen is my prediction. Yeah, but it's the same like the history.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's the same in Formula One. Somebody always does a better job with the engineering. They just get the balance, you know, best suited to that year's regulations. What we're hoping is that the guys who have come in late will get a little faster, in the same way I'm sure that Red Bull will get a little faster compared to Mercedes. But, yeah, usually the biggest hammer cracks the egg best, doesn't it? And Citroen certainly brought the biggest hammer to the party this year. Jose Maria Lopez now, right behind Norbert Mikulits, and the Zengo Motorsport Honda didn't really seem to be doing very much at all for Norby last week. He had a gearbox problem as well in qualifying, but in this race, I mean, at the moment he's holding on to 4th place, so he will be in the top 6, which is, you know, where Honda expected to be last week and weren't quite.
No, at the moment they do a great job, especially with the mileage they have done with Michelitz, Gabriele and Thiago Monteiro. They did quite a lot of testing. Michelin's car just arrived before the first race, even after my car. No, I'm really impressed. He's running here in top 5 and doing a great job. But I saw already a few nice surprises.
Now, what are we looking here at the start? Well, Ivan Muller on pole position, the red, white and grey Citroën getting away very slowly. Bit of wheel spin, but it also looked as though the traction mapping was over-aggressive and just held him back. Look back for Rob Huff coming through in the red Lada as well. Where do those gaps open up? Look, he's... Oh, did he touch the pit wall? He was very close. This is on board with Tom Chilton from row 3 of the grid. And on board here with Thiago Monteiro, going inside Gianni Morbidelli. Well, I don't know if Huff did touch the pit wall, but goodness me, he managed to squeeze through some gaps. They must have lubricated that car well. Jose Maria Lopez still with Norbert Mikulits. This is the battle for 4th. Still only 2 Citroëns on the podium. Tarquini and Mikulits are being very difficult about letting Citroën have their way here in France. Of course, this is the home race for Citroën, the race of France, this race weekend. But when we go to Spa, that's an awful lot closer to Alsace, where Ivan Muller and Sebastian Loeb come from. So we can imagine that there's going to be a huge Loeb crowd in Spa-Francorchamps as well.
Well, I think there will be a battle because Spa-Francorchamps is only 2.5 hours from my house as well. So I expect also a lot of Dutch fans.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a battle of the fan clubs. Sebastian Loeb draws a big crowd wherever he goes because, of course, you know, like Valentino Rossi, he's a global superstar name, isn't he? So he is bringing an extra little frisson of excitement to the championship. But even his fans will pale into insignificance in the next race when we go to Hungary and we get Norby fever again. Whoa! Monteiro holds on from Sebastian Loeb for 2nd place. Tarquini rather holds on from Sebastian Loeb for 2nd place. Yeah. The Norby fan club is here already and will be at every European race.
Hungary, we have always seen a lot of crowd, and that gives a good atmosphere. I think Hungary was one of the best races we've ever had in WTC, especially when Norby won the race there as well. Yeah, it was more than a superstar status.
Loeb on the inside at senior, and well, Tarquini doing exactly what he needs to do. When you're being chased by somebody, Tom, ignore the mirrors, just drive your car. If he's that much faster, he'll have to drive around you somewhere.
I think here the difficulty for him is...
Lopez put himself in a bit of a tricky position there, trying to go around the outside in a very tight corner.
It was for sure a risky one, but it was possible. I mean, at one stage you also have to try to find places where to overtake him if you're faster, because you cannot stay behind. If you're behind too long, is also the problem. You have the strength and weakness analysis. You can see where somebody else is more fast, and the problem then is that he knows all the tricks how to block you. And this is, I think, the problem also for Sebastian Loeb, because you have Gabriele Tarquini in front of you.
Yeah.
I think one of the most experienced touring car drivers you can find on the planet Earth.
Yeah, if you're trying to pass somebody, Tarquini and Muller are way at the bottom of the list of the guys you want to be getting by. Notice that Ivan was going alongside the pit wall looking for some wet track, so he's obviously feeling that squirm you get when a wet weather tyre gets too hot and it stops feeling like a tyre and more like a jelly underneath you. So he's hunting out the wet patches, but Tarquini and Loeb can't really do that. Gabriele certainly can't. Loeb can, but he's still trying to take 2nd place.
He will overtake him. That's in my opinion not too difficult. He just has to find the possibility how, what, where, but it will happen.
Where's Lopez? There he is, he has got by Michaelis, and Michaelis has now got Rob Huff behind him, quite close behind him, so Lopez got by and was 2.5 seconds in front of Norby at the line last time by. Now, how did that happen? Haven't seen that replay. We saw the contact between them, both survived, both are still going. Norby, yeah, last lap at 1:48.7, Pechito's at 1:46.1, so I'm assuming that Michaelis went off somewhere trying to defend. Maybe the first corner, maybe the last corner. Tarquini again, we talk about it so often. Just take the rear view mirror out of the car, throw it away, because if somebody's behind you, that's where they should be staying. And if you drive on the racing line, especially when there's low grip around the racing line, then you have a great opportunity to stay in front. The straights here aren't so long that Loeb can just select top gear and drive straight by him.
And tires are going down at the moment because it's not really wet, it's cold. That means that the block, the wear, is not sharp anymore. So there are a lot of edges now who are not strong enough to keep the car in the radius. But if the tires become worse, if you have a car with a lot of grip, like the Citroëns, yeah, then they have the most wear because they use the most grip. So this is probably why also Gabriele is still defending him quite strongly.
Now, slight opportunity for Sebastian Loeb here, and that's traffic, Tom. When somebody else plays a part in the battle, John Philippi there gets out of the way. He started on pole in the TC2 class. His game plan, he said, was to just try and keep the BMWs behind. He's not been able to. He is third behind Franz Engstler and Pasquale Di Sabatino, but Loeb, well, again, he looks up the inside, and he's looked tight into every corner, and as you said, he's working his tyres harder. It looks he's now got no traction advantage at all over Tarquini. In fact, maybe the opposite. Maybe by being precise, Gabriele now has slightly better grip than Sebastian Loeb does. So there's a potential weakness. If you can force them to use their tyres harder, they wear them faster in the wet at least. Tarquini looks like he's done a better job of preserving his place and his tyre.
Well, the good thing is that Gabriele, in the beginning of the race, he was concentrating on himself. There was no fight for him, there was no tight lines for him, so he was clever to keep the tires in good condition.
Well, the other thing, starting on the front row, as we know from years of watching him, nobody starts a front-wheel drive touring car better than Gabriele. He can outstart a rear-drive BMW in the dry, uphill. He's just so good. He just got away and left Ivan Muller, and those 2 laps, that might be the difference between him being second or third or fourth or, you know, out the back of the pack somewhere. And if he had Ivan behind him, oh, big slide, took a little too much curb there maybe. If he had Ivan behind him, maybe it might be slightly different, but Sebastian is still just learning the finesse of all of this. He tries to go around the outside and he's got him, and Tarquini has suddenly run out of grip.
But you saw that Gabriele made a small mistake, and this is now where you have to wait for as a race car driver. Wait, have the patience, and Sebastian Loeb did really well.
Jacques Lafitte there in the garage watching the Citroën Racing boys in action. He's here with the TF1 TV crew for their Sunday night show. So Jacques Lafitte, you've got Olivier Panis in the French booth. You had Prince Albert and Monaco here yesterday having laps with Sebastian Loeb. Loeb's old co-driver Daniel Elena. That's attracting all sorts of familiar faces. Of course, we're not too far from Monaco, which helps. Well, Sebastian Loeb now in second place, and here's how it happened. Tarquini drifting out of grip. And Tom Coronel again, that shows that Tarquini's tyres have said, okay, that's enough, got no more now. So the French fan club, they're pretty happy with that. Gabriele Tarquini continues to challenge Sebastian Loeb. Your race leader is Ivan Muller. He's in front of the second place man in TC2, Pasquale Di Sabatino, in the red, white and blue BMW. And here comes the battle for second place. Sebastian Loeb last lap got around Gabriele Tarquini. Tarquini, after sterling defense for a dozen laps, finally running out of tyre. Jose Maria Lopez in fourth. And Rob Huff challenging Norbert Michelisz perhaps for 5th position. Michelisz, Huff, Valente. This will be a good little battle to the end of the race. Huffy really with his dander up wants to get another place away from Norby. And you know what? Doesn't the Larder look stable? Huff has really kept his tyres alive well. Oh, and Valente up the inside! He throws it at the apex and misses. Ooh, that was lucky. That could have clattered all 3 of them off the track there. Again, Tom Coronel, it's about patience.
Yeah, the thing is here, he dived on the inside and he had to go fully off throttle, and then with the front-wheel drive car, you get this big slide, and this was the difficulty he had there. But you know, it's the last lap. This is a possibility. You have to try and see, and I think it's good. You know, he's a wild guy. He's a young guy, and at least he tries.
Yeah, we saw Benani and Borkovic, and Huff gets through. He was able to hold the tight line, which I thought was very impressive, with the Honda of Michelisz going all the way around the outside, you know, wet racing style, right the way around the exit, the long way around the corner. He was looking for the grip there. Huff found some on the inside because it has stopped drizzling, is slightly getting less wet, a little bit more traction perhaps. Incident involving cars 5 and 37 under investigation. Well, that is Norbert Michelisz and Jose Maria Lopez. Oh, okay. I suppose they have to investigate contact, but there you go. Rob Huff looking for a bit of water to cool the tyres down. Same as Norby, same as Hugo Valente as they go on to the last lap. It's Muller first, Loeb second, Tarquini third. Lopez 4.7 seconds behind Tarquini. Looks like he's not going to make the podium.
Seems like Michelisz has some difficulties.
Well, we saw, didn't we, like a light switch, Tarquini's tyres just went off, just stopped, and Norby looks like the same. Couple of laps ago, suddenly no longer competitive, and Valente has gone by him, so Norby has gone from 4th to 5th to 6th, now to 7th place. 8th place, Thiago Monteiro, the red, white and green Castrol Honda. But there'll be some very smiley faces at Larder if Rob Huff takes that car to 5th position. Be one of their best World Touring Car results ever. If we had Wi-Fi in the booth, I'd find out if Tomo finished higher than 5th. I have a feeling he has, but I can't quite recall when. Whatever, the checkered flag awaits because Ivan Muller is going to win his first race here in France. Ivan Muller has never won a World Touring Car race in France. He's the only driver named Muller who's been in the championship not to do so up until now, but he wins. However, joint championship leader Sebastian Loeb is right behind him in 2nd place, the man who should have started on pole, as Gabriele Tarquini takes 3rd. Jose Maria Lopez will be in 4th place for Citroën, ahead of Rob Huff in 5th. Looking as we see the Honda guys celebrate. Yeah, Huff is 5th, Valente got by Michelisz and made it stick for 6th. So that means Norby in 7th place, Thiago in 8th, Tom Chilton in 9th place, as they should be coming to the line. And the top 10 should be rounded out by James Thompson, who's been having a ding-dong battle with Chilton, Morbidelli and Munich. The Larder in the midst of 3 Chevrolets. But it is victory for Ivan Muller, and he needed that win just to keep him in the hunt.
Where performance matters, you'll find Total Quartz.
You'd think by now he'd be used to winning, but he always looks as if it's sort of a bit of a surprise to be doing so well. I guess he's one of those guys that has so much natural talent that it's hard to sort of explain why you're so much better and to justify it. And you can see there being collared for a very quick interview. Let's hear, though, from our race winner, Ivan Muller. Bit of a scrum down there, but I think Alex has got the mic.
winner of race 1 here, Paul Ricard, World Touring Car Championship. Van Muller, congratulations. Well done to you.
Thank you. It was tougher than what it would looks like, because the track was very damp, not wet, not dry, and on the wet tire on those conditions is quite complicated.
Were you aware of the battle behind you? Did you see Sebastian Loeb coming up in your mirror?
Yeah, I was informed by my team about his lap time, but he wasn't faster than me, so it was okay for me.
And the same for race 2?
Looks like, I hope so.
Well done.
Well, in race 2, of course, his teammates will again start right at the back, but if Arne will not be first, he will be 10th on the grid, so he's got more work to do. Tom, let's not pretend it's easy to drive these cars on the limit in any conditions, and certainly not in the wet, but you know, he has got the best car in the field, and he's made the best use of it. So yeah, absolutely,
it's still, you can have a strong car, but you're not allowed to make any mistakes. And as it looks to me, he made a small mistake at the start, but for the rest, it was 100% spot on. You saw he was even doing the fastest lap time the last 3 laps. So he was not becoming lazy. You know, he was 10 seconds in the lead, and you can also say, this is enough. No, he was still on the limit and still making it to 13 seconds.
Well, let's get down to Ben Constantinos. He's in the pit lane with our championship leader, Sebastian Loeb.
The real story of the race coming from the very back of the field. Sebastian Loeb, you look like you had a great fun out there.
Yeah, it was a great fun. Quite a good start, good fight with Pechito at the start, because he passed in the front, then I could overtake him again, and then we tried to close the 3 first car. It was difficult to get on the podium because Michelis was really fast and Tarquini even faster, so I had some great fight with them, and finally I could take the 2nd place 2 laps from the end. It was a great fight for me.
You must have learned a lot racing against people like Tarquini, who have so many years of experience in touring cars.
Yeah, for sure. So he's not easy to overtake. He knows everything to do. So, but finally, I could do it. So I'm really happy of this position, because after this disqualification yesterday, it was not easy to go on the podium.
A 1-2 on the podium for France at a French track with all these fans waiting to see you.
Yeah, I know. So I'm happy also for them, because it was a bit disappointing for everybody to be on the last line. So yeah, good result for the team.
Enjoy the podium.
So not just 2 Frenchmen, 2 Alsatians on the top step of the podium, because of course both he and Van Muller come from that region in northeastern France, so famous for well, it's dogs, it's Bugatti collection in Mulhouse, and a whole host of other historic reasons. But Sebastian Loeb, every driver, Tom Coronel, learns every time they're in the car, but it's not like he needs to learn a lot. We've seen how well he races already.
Yeah, but he has a lot of experience. It has 4 wheels, a throttle and a brake, and I even think in these type of conditions, I think he could be stronger than us as race car drivers. He knows how to find the grip, he knows how to find the traction, and because all those tricks are also being used in his type of experience. So although I'm impressed, but I saw already last year he made a few races, like in the Porsche Cup in the wet condition. He didn't make any mistake. He finished 2nd there as well. And then I thought, this guy has more than just a rally experience. He has absolutely the things to become world champion also in motor racing, and he's in the lead now of our championship.
No question at all. I think you're absolutely right. Now all we need is for Alfa to return with Valentino Rossi. That'll bring in even more crowds.
Mesdemoiselles, messieurs, veuillez accueillir sur le podium.
So coming out onto the podium, our top 3 from the first of our races in France, and pity the poor grid girls. Not only are they having to work on Easter Day, but it's cold, wet and miserable, and they're in a single layer of Leica. They might as well be winter sport athletes. 3rd place for Gabriele Tarquini. Very hard fought. from the back row of the grid to second place, equally hard fought for Sebastian Loeb. And our race winner, Ivan Muller, started on pole, won the race. It wasn't quite as straightforward as that might suggest. Well, Ivan's engineer comes out to receive the trophy for Citroën Racing. And the Yokohama Trophy race winner is Franz Engsler. Almost lapped by the winner. Well, let's hear now from the winning driver's national anthem. And the anthem now for the winning constructor, Citroën.
La Marseillaise. Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles, Messieurs, pour
the Citroën drivers have the NASCAR style overall with the baggy bottoms to them, with Gabriele Tarquini and Franz Engsler with a more traditional European style with the cuffs at the bottom of their legs. Just another little slightly different way of doing everything from Citroën Racing. Third place trophy, or is it a bit of broken suspension? Hard to tell. It's a nice little bit of artwork being given to Gabriele Tarquini.
Pour remettre le trophée à la deuxième place, j'invite Monsieur Toru Kawachi, bien évidemment, président de JVC Kenwood, à Monsieur Sébastien.
You know, they've just collected those after the European Touring Car Cup race from around the circuit. Bits and bobs from the gravel traps of Le Castellet over the years.
Yeah, on the second place, to me it seems like a brake disc with some small parts suspension. I see pistons involved.
That's fantastic. They're really great. I really like that. And the piston broke trophy goes to Ivan Muller at the top step of the podium.
With a brake disc stand.
Very nice.
Very good.
Very nice. And winning the Yokohama Trophy in Tom Coronel's old car, which he bought at the end of the season, Franz Engsler, and he was saying to you, Tommy, he really liked that car. He said, what have you done to it? It's the best BMW.
Yeah, he has 3 cars himself, but this year he bought my car just because he said, well, that must be a fast one, so please give it to me. And 2 nights ago, I spoke to him and he said, Tom, if I would have had that car 2 years ago, I would have beaten you. And then I said, I have made that car for you.
There you go. Take the best from the best. That's always the way to go. And the Yokohama Trophy goes to Franz Engsler. So you're looking at 2 of the least young drivers in the championship there, Gabriele Tarquini and Franz Engsler. Snow on the mountaintops for both of those guys, right? They won't see 40 again until it comes around for a second time anyway. And again, Tom Coronel, you know, in this type of racing, experience pays so much, especially when the weather is mixed or something changes dramatically. It's the experience that you go to, that gives you a chance.
This for sure. You know, it's the patience you need. It's the experience. It's also out to handle. Don't only go for the fast lap, but also for the overall timing.
Well, the umbrellas are up. It's not raining hard, but we'll carry on with our action. Try and get down to Rob Huff, who, if there was another moral victor behind Sebastian Loeb and Ivan Muller, then certainly Rob Huff was that in 5th place in his Lada. Teammates James Thompson in 10th and Mikhail Kozlowski in 15th place. Not quite sure where he lost all his ground, but he dropped out of that battle for sort of 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th that he was a part of. And as you see, John Philippi spent a little bit of the last few laps cruising around. Now, I know everybody was catching him, but he was sort of going fairly slowly. I think he's trying to make it to the line. Tom Coronel is busy studying the timing screens. I mean, you know, that's the first thing that drivers do, is they get the timing sheets, they look at who did fastest laps when, and, you know, you look at your own traces and your teammates' traces and try and learn as much as you can from every single result. Loeb, Lopez and Muller now the top three in the championship. Vallant and Chilton tied for fourth, ahead of all the Honda drivers, Tarquini and Montero in 6th and 7th. Rob Huff and Mikhail Kozlowski tied on points with Norbert Mikulis. So the two Lada drivers and the Honda driver. It seems like James Thompson is having his habitual wretched luck and not scoring very strongly at all in Marrakesh. Gets his first points here in race one. But let's get down to Ben Constantiouris in the pit lane. He's caught up with Rob Huff.
It seems to me that that is the best result that Lada have ever had in a World Touring Car race. Rob, just how did you do it, holding those guys behind you and overtaking as well?
It was a tough race for sure. I mean, literally, I mean, the ambience in the garage as if we won a race. It was amazing, you know. I think to genuinely have the third fastest car out there on the track is amazing. You know, it's testament to what the boys have done. I think it shows that we're possibly heading a little bit in the wrong direction with our dry setup, but we've definitely got the wet setup now. It was a great race, really fair. Me and Norby with Lopez as well. You know, those Citroens are fast. We've got a long way to catch them, but we've got to be happy with P5 there.
The start seemed to be where you made up the most ground.
Yeah, definitely. Just got really good traction. I mean, off the racing line, just got really good traction. Had a little bit of wheel spin as I went across some of the painted lines. Thiago really tried to squeeze me hard, but I wasn't going to give that place up. And yeah, just kept sort of going down the inside, more. Got the braking point right, tucked in, and then obviously at the end, you know, at the beginning got Valente as well, and then at the end got Norby. So yeah, cracking race.
Watching you and some of the others going around the circuit, it looked like it was very much a karting line, keeping off the racing line to get the grip. Yeah, very much so, Ben. You know, all the way around the outside, literally trying to cut back, get back across the racing line before you then get on the power. You know, that racing line is very, very slippery indeed. It's literally like ice. So yeah, trying to avoid it at all costs. Good work. Thanks very much.
All right, cheers.
Well, thank you indeed to Ben, to Rob Huff. Well done indeed. That'll really buoy them. But, I mean, you look at his lap speed. His best lap, a 1:45.4. The best for Muller, 1:43.6, 2 seconds quicker. That was racecraft, not speed in the car, that kept him in that position.
Yeah, for sure. This is the experience he has, but also the way he's driving, always quite aggressive. He did it all at the beginning of the race, so he didn't spend any time of wasting time of overtaking. Because if you see the lap time of Banani, he was even faster and he became 13th.